Welcome back. So we're at a pretty critical stage of construction right now, so I wanted to kind of update you and see where we are before we go into drywall. So let's go inside and take a look at some of the changes. So immediately when you come in the front door, you can feel the massive change that we've made in the space. No longer are you at this really cramped, low ceiling area, but we've got this beautiful vaulted ceiling that leads you into the main common areas, and it just feels a lot more expansive, even though we didn't change the square footage at all. So in order to do this, we actually had to go through pretty intense coordination and engineering in order to re-engineer the existing trusses that make up the ceiling framing of this space. So what we did is we got new trusses made and nailed those to the existing trusses in order to be able to cut out the old trusses and make this beautiful ceiling detail that you see now. So unfortunately, because of that, we weren't able to save the old ceiling that was here previously, but I think that that's a really small price to pay for this beautiful ceiling that makes the space just feel so much larger than it did before. So behind you, we're gonna continue to the bedrooms. There weren't a lot of changes here, but there were some small things that we had to do once we started, building out everything. So this front bedroom here, you can kind of see past. This is structural framing to hold up the ceiling, so this will come down now that this window has been moved. But we had to move this window because it was not centered with the front patio. And when we go to the exterior, I can kind of show you where that fell and why it was different. Sometimes the plans that we get from the architect don't have all of the details of the existing house exactly right. So when we start to build, we kind of notice some of those things, and we can make some small changes in the field to incorporate that and make it look very intentional. So behind you, we've got the bathroom that's going to stay as is. We had to replace the exhaust fan, but other than that, it's pretty much staying as it is. And then over here, same thing with this bedroom. It's kind of our storage zone right now because these are the few bedrooms that are not being touched. So we've got our master closet that we're saving in here right now. But you can see we replaced the sliding glass door, so all of the doors and windows are gonna be new with the exception of the front door. And we'll go back out to the main living space so you can kind of see some other changes that we made. So over here, one of the big reasons that this entry feels so much larger is because we actually pushed this wall back to create this office. So we widened this opening, pushed this wall back, and it gave you this really nice, this diagonal wall gives you this really nice grand opening when you come in. But you're still gonna have the ability to close the doors if you want to in order to have some privacy if you're working on something important. So this can double as either an office or a bedroom. The homeowner here is gonna use it as an office. And back here, there's a small closet, a little walk-in closet for some storage. So at the framing stage, it's really important that you talk about things like where your TV is gonna go and are the outlets in the right location? Because once the drywall goes on, any changes after that point are a lot more major because you'll have to do a drywall repair to make them happen. So the homeowner was unsure about their furniture arrangement in this room, so what we ended up doing is actually doing TV rough-in both on this wall and the wall behind you to give them some choices if they decide to change their mind down the line. The framer needs to come back to do backing here so that you have something to secure the TV into. But I think that this is really, really nice to think about those things in advance so that the hookup's there, you don't have those ugly wires coming down the wall, which no one likes to see, especially me. So let's move on to the other bedroom and bathroom down this hallway. So if you remember from our walkthrough last time, this was actually the old opening into the garage. So everything from this point forward was actually poured up to the same grade as the existing house so we could make this space happen. So as we continue down this hallway, right here we've got our secondary bathroom, the first door to the left. And this is just gonna be a pretty simple, you'll have a nice 4-foot vanity and a toilet back here and just a tub over here. So things like this you need to coordinate early on as well. So over here in the tub area, you wanna think in advance about where you're gonna put your niches. So what these are is once they're done, it'll be a tiled niche, and this is where you're gonna put your storage. So like your shampoo containers and all of that. in the shower area. So you've got to think about this kind of stuff in advance, because if you're doing any sort of plumbing, you want to make sure the plumbing is routed around this. Same with electrical. You don't want anything going through your niche, because at the end of the day, this will be finished to this back portion of the wall, so you have a place to put your storage. We coordinated all the shower and tub locations with the owner. Back here, we've got our toilet and vanity. We'll have sconces on this wall, so the electrician actually needs to come back to change his rough-in to be 2 sconces versus the 1 vanity light. So then we continue down this hallway. We'll have a small linen closet here. There's no backing that's needed for linen closets, because typically that's wire shelving that goes in there. And then this is the secondary bedroom. So this is actually the daughter's room. And we've got the closet over here. We've got outlets all around the room per the current code. You know, we walked this through with the owner, and he's really happy with how everything turned out here. We actually had to pour the garage up 16 inches to make this space possible. So this, the bathroom behind me, and the hallway. So from the garage, you can actually see that a little bit better. And I've got some video maybe we can put in to show how that worked and how much concrete was actually involved in making this happen. So when you come back out into the hallway, to the right here, you're gonna have the laundry room. So if you were to just continue straight down the hallway, the laundry room would be there, but we'll look at that when we look at the back side of the kitchen. So let's go back to the kitchen in the main area, and I can kind of talk through some of the coordination that happened there. So out here, basically where you're standing is going to be the dining room. So it's open concept. You've got your dining room here. We've got a bar over here. So this will be a wine cooler and drawer stack, and then you're gonna have floating shelves. So you see here where he marked with red the floating shelves, those are areas for the framer to put in backing. And this is another thing that has to be coordinated early on, because if you're gonna do any sort of floating shelves, you need to make sure you've got wood in the wall for those to attach to, and make sure that they don't sag. Nobody likes a saggy shelf. Over here, we've got our family room. So the homeowner decided to add a floor outlet in the family room. So what that'll allow you to do is have a couch here with lamps on either side, and you don't have those ugly wires coming from the wall. So this was something that we had to actually cut into the slab, and you can see the trench here that's coming from the wall. The electrician had to do that when we were doing our slab phase. So he ran the wire, we got it inspected, and then we poured that back in. And here, again, you're gonna have a TV. So we've got the rough-in for the TV. You've got your power on one side, low voltage on the other, and the framer will add in the backing there as well. Turning around and looking at the kitchen, I think that if you stand where I'm standing, looking back at the kitchen, it kind of gives you the best view of what everything will look like. If you kind of line up your center line with the center line of the room, that's where we're gonna have our hood. So you can kind of see the hood rough-in right here. So that'll be your hood, and that'll kind of be the focal point of the room. So on either side of the hood, we'll have upper cabinets and lower cabinets, cooktop in the center, below the hood. And then in this corner, we're gonna have a tall cabinet for the oven. That tall cabinet for the oven actually balances out this opening into the mudroom. So from where you're standing, it's gonna look really nice and balanced, and a really clean back view of the kitchen on your focal point, which is the hood. We decided to add soffits because the slope ceiling is a little bit of a strange condition when you're dealing with cabinets in a kitchen. With cabinets, you've got a lot of straight lines, so when you add in a slanted ceiling, you really need to have that soffit to make it feel completed and have a nice stopping point for both your cabinets and the backsplash. Island is going to be centered on the cooktop, so you can see here, we're gonna have our sink base about right here. I've laid it out on the floor, so we've got everything in the right places. Sink here, trash pull out over here, small cabinet on the other end of that, and then over here we've got our dishwasher and another large cabinet on the side of that. This will be your nice big island. I think it's about 9 feet, so it's a good size island. And then over on this wall, we've got our entrance to the pantry. This is actually gonna be built out as if it's like a cabinet. So from the outside, it's going to look like one big cabinet door, where it would maybe just be a tall cabinet. But then when you open the door up, you'll walk in and you'll have this nice big walk-in pantry with tons of storage for both countertop appliances and dry food storage, that kind of thing. Over here, we're gonna have countertop and upper cabinets. The soffit is gonna continue at that width all the way to the end here. And at the end here, we'll have a refrigerator. The kitchen is actually probably the main place that you're gonna be coordinating at this stage in construction. There's a ton, if you look around, you can see a ton of electrical wires, gas lines, plumbing. Everything that you coordinate with your rough-ins is actually happening in this kitchen. So this is a critical place to make sure that everyone's on the same page. So what we do is we make sure that before we finalize our cabinet drawings, we've got our appliances 100%. The appliances will affect your cabinet drawings, so you want to make sure those are done before you pick out your cabinets. And then the cabinets are drawn in accordance with the appliances. So when you're laying out your kitchen, you want to make sure that you've got both the cabinet shop drawings that are finalized and approved by the owner, as well as the appliance specifications. This kitchen has a couple of built-in appliances, but for the most part, it's pretty standard. Some of the more complicated appliances, like your Sub-Zero refrigerators, your built-in refrigerators, those have super specific specifications for where your power is, where your water is, etc. So it's really important to have those when you're laying out the kitchen, so when the subs come on site to lay everything out, they're putting it in the right location and you're not having to redo it. That's huge. So we're out on the exterior of the house, and behind me you can see one of the major changes that we made to the facade, and that was adding this portico. Before we added this, the house really didn't have a nice focal point or really any sort of interest with the front door. So by adding this, we were able to create that interest, that architectural interest. And you'll see over here where we had to move this window on the right side to be in the center of the two columns. Previously, the architect had actually drawn the window in the wrong place on the plans. So when we went to do the stem wall for the patio, we realized that the window was actually outside of the bounds of the patio. So we needed to move that in order to make it symmetrical and make the front of the house look top-notch. One of the problems that we're actually running into right now, because it's not all sunshine and roses, are the shingles. So if you walk over here, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. The sample that we received from the manufacturer when we were trying to match it up against the existing shingles actually did not match what we received on site. So you can see where we've put the old and the new together, and you can really clearly see that. You expect to have some variation between old and new because, obviously the shingles there, they've been up there for 5+ years. They've been through rain, they've gotten dirt on them, they've had hurricanes happen. So you expect to have some variation, but definitely not this stark. So we're actually working with the manufacturer right now to figure out how can we resolve this issue and what can we do to make it look better, because this, to me, is not acceptable. So at this point in construction, the roof is dried in, the shingles are completed, and we're actually right on the verge of getting into drywall. We probably have another 2 to 3 months of this project, and we will check in at the end to see how everything finished up. Can't wait to see you then.